Greetings, weary travelers, come. Warm yourself by the fire, and let us regale you with mighty tales, tales of adventure, tales of heroism, and of course, tales of Tamriel. I'm your host, Arkaniir, and we are back with the episode 266, and I'm joined by two of my amazing co-hosts, starting with the man, the myth, the legend himself, LotusOfDoom. How's it going, Lotus?
Things are good. I now am no longer left out of the new update. Legend status is going to be really questionable after my tales this week, though. Good lord.
I am happy that we still have something to tease you about, even after you get access to the DLC, so it'll be a fun time for tales.
Oh yeah, this is going to be an interesting one.
Also joining us, the Giggle Queen herself, the joy of the show, HyperPixie. How's it going, Pixie?
Going great.
Alright, so we have a fun show ahead because we got some things to discuss. Now that everyone had a chance to jump into update 29, we will finally be able to talk about the dungeons more in detail, the changes more in detail, and get a little bit more deep and complex into our discussions. So that's gonna be the focus of this episode, and of course, including the tales and everything like that, because we all been through the new dungeons, and we all suffered in very similar ways. Except Lotus, he sort of did so in an extra different way. But
yeah.
Before we get to all that, I got a new shout out to do, and that is to our newest Knight of DCN over at Patreon, and that's Gerwolf67. Thank you so very much for joining the ranks of the Knights, and I really, really do appreciate it. I also have a behind-the-scenes update to give that now that I said the name DCN, that reminded me, our Twitch channel is no longer called twitch.tv/dungeoncrawlernetwork, but instead it is called twitch.tv/Arkaniir's Quest. So from now on Twitch, you will be able to find us at that address. Nothing changes for any of our shows. Everything's still available at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. The website stands. Everything is still hosted there. And you can find the shows where you always found our shows, including Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Player FM, some other places I don't even know about, actually. It's so, yeah, just search for Tales of Tamriel podcast and it will pop up. But yeah, the Twitch channel has been renamed, and the reasons for it you can always pop in and ask, and I will be happy to answer. But we are not going to clog this show with all those details because we, as I mentioned earlier, have some stuff to talk about. So we'll dive right into the news. We got some news this time, and first of all, a bit of controversial topic, although we'll decide whether to go into it in detail or not later, if we have time. And that is the new Ayleid crown crates have arrived. They have... Yeah.
That was this week too. How about... Wow, this has been a busy week.
Yes, indeed. Actually, once we get through the news, I have a fun remark about that, because I joined UESP podcast last week as a guest with Pylon and Doc, and we had very different gauges, like scales, for how much news we had between two of our shows.
And I listened to, well, since we release kind of like either same day or one day after each other, usually, I kind of actually stack up these shows and I re-listen to us so that I see if I made an ass of myself on the show, or and then I'd listen to UESP, and listening to them back to back was very interesting. Compared to how we refer to it, it's like, we have very different views on the same thing.
But yeah, I'm gonna get to that in my tales, because that's part of my tales, guesting on the UESP podcast. But if you don't know about UESP podcast, definitely go check them out. It's the podcast for the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages by Pylon and Doc. So there you go. Quick shout out sneaked in there as well. But yeah, Ayleid crown crates. They are even worse than High Elves. So these are the worst crown crates to ever hit the crown crates, in my opinion.
Pretty. They're pretty.
Yeah, well, they enslaved like everyone and had torture chambers in dungeons and all sorts of stuff. So Aylaids are even worse than Altmers. So
But
they
just
have
putting that out
pretty-
there.
They have
but
pretty
need to keep their
mounts.
spirits high with these like pretty backgrounds while they were disemboweling everybody with the gut gardens. Apparently,
Yeah.
Yeah,
really
it's
wanted
like
to class it up.
I mean,
The mounts are pretty.
it's relative. It's
I like them. They
Yeah,
match my Toon's outfit really well,
Actually, so
and that's what matters.
I will admit, I prefer these Ayleid mounts more than those fire mushroom, whatever horrendous thing that
I
was
like the
before this.
More ones.
I
Yeah, they
love the
were very
Windsworn.
weird. I don't even know if that. I don't even think that was a Crown Crate season in its own. It was just a mount, I think. But
Yeah,
there were
bunch of
some.
different
they were
ones.
crown crates.
They were
no,
Crown
it was-
Crates, yeah. So
yeah,
these are at least.
spore-based ones.
Yeah. So these actually have sort of the Ayleid glass armor style on them. It is very intricate design, and it's not super high fantasy with all the weird, fire, mushroom, whatever Atronach thingies. There are, however, the very, very fancy Radiant Apex mounts in this Crown Crate season. They have some very advanced particle effects on them. And for the first time ever, they are purchasable with gems. So before, we were only able to purchase the normal Apex mounts with gems, but Radiant Apexes were specific. So they were only down to the Crown Crate and with a, I think, drop rate of 0 point something. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's very,
low.
very, very low. But this time around, you can actually purchase them with gems, which made a lot of people happy and then a lot of people sad because there are 3 Radiant Apex mounts. The fanciest one is 2,500 crown gems. The horse one, or the other one, I don't remember which one is which, but so the other one is 1,600 gems. And the last one, the cheapest one, is 1,200 gems. So if you've been using up your gems before this, it is very highly unlikely that you will have the gems for it. But at least, if you buy enough crates, there is a 100% chance that you will be able to get it, although it might cost you a
it'll be
very, very
astronomically
At
expensive.
what
high
cost?
amount. Yeah.
At what cost?
Did you get it? Yes. What did it cost?
Yeah.
Everything.
For real. And in this case, that's not really an exaggeration, probably.
Yeah. It's if you don't
Rip my
already
bank account.
have, if you don't already have a large amount of gems, and you want that 2,500 one, you either need to get very, very lucky or have a lot of money set aside for it. But at least, the one good thing is, at least it is purchasable with gems. So eventually, you will get it. I mean, statistically, you will get it at some point if you buy enough crates, regardless of how low the drop rate is. But it is always a possibility that you could never, ever get it.
Right.
Like, even
Ask
if it's...
Ark with the shield.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
I doubt the shield has 0.001 drop rate, but it took me 7 months to get it, so...
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you looked at either Pixie or I's RNG, you'd think that it was almost a guaranteed drop.
So,
He's
yeah.
laughing on the outside but crying on the inside.
At least he has it now, so
Yeah,
can
yeah,
scoop up-
finally.
yeah.
I'm one of my bars is rocking that shield finally, so I'm
nice.
happy.
It is a cool looking shield.
It is, it
Mhm.
is. And yeah. If only it hadn't caused me all the trauma of Battlegrounds for several months, but
Yeah, nah,
yeah.
that's
Things we do
that-
for Fashion Scrolls Online.
yep, it's the true end game.
There are also a lot of nice things in the crowns as well as the crown store, the gem store, which is always where I usually go to. So instead of buying crowns, I just save up gems from all the, Twitch crates. and buy things off of the gem store. And there are some very fun emotes and mementos and costumes and pets starting from the 16 gem price point. There's like 4 pets for 16 gems. There are really cool emotes for 16 gems. So definitely, if you have gems, if you have been saving up your Ouroboros crown crates from Twitch, go check out the season and see if there's anything that you like. So let me close these tabs because I opened a whole bunch of pictures because I thought I would be able to, describe them, and then I decided, okay, these are too intricate to describe, so...
Yeah, they're pretty involved.
Yeah, log in and check for yourself. Don't.
They're cool. I like them.
They maybe.
Yeah, well, I like shiny, so.
So, our other part of news, well, of course, Update 29 released on consoles. We are gonna get into that with Lotus in a bit after this next part of news. And Jesters Festival is right around the corner. Well, it's actually like, right around the corner. We are on 21st. Yep. So it will be from March 25 to April 1st. Obviously, with the April Fool's concept comes the Jesters Festival. And it is as usual. You go to one of the Jesters Festival pavilions in either Glenumbra, Auridon, or Stonefalls. That's, well, Ebonar City, Volkelgard, and Daggerfall. And you find the NPCs there, which are the bootleg versions of the 3 leaders of the 3 banners war. And they give you a bunch of daily quests. Now, this time, we have 3 new quests. The article doesn't detail what they are, so we will have to go find them out. We have 2 new collectibles. One is Playful Prankster's Prize Box Memento, so we get a new Memento collectible. And we have the Regal Regalia, or however it is pronounced. I'm not entirely sure.
No, you're right. Regal Regalia.
That's, there you go. Okay.
Yep, you're
so that will be the outfit style for this event that you will be able to either get dropped from the crates, or rather boxes, reward boxes you get from your dailies, or you will be able to buy them with tickets from the event in Berserio. And the weapons for this set will be in the Crown Store. And honestly, I like these weapons. The article doesn't show the actual outfit style, but...
Okay, you can see it. I actually wish I had noted. I didn't realize it wasn't in the article. Let me see if I can find it. It looks... okay, so as somebody who gets a D- in Fashion Scrolls, as we all know, I think it looks awesome, actually. It's really cool because it's Regal Regalia, it's very similar. Not exactly the same, because obviously that would be a little undermining to the people who have claimed emperorship, but it's in the same vein as the costume you get for claiming emperor or empress in Cyrodiil.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. See, I've never seen that myself, so...
Yeah, you look like royalty, pretty much.
Yeah.
I like this already. I don't know what it looks like, but this sounds great.
It's really cool. While you guys discuss, I'll see if I can find where I think it was on Twitter. Somebody showed it to me.
I wouldn't be, it could be. But yeah, it's very fancy, very intricate, and it's not super high fantasy either, which you guys know I always love. I'm not a fan of too much fantasy. I like keeping things bit more realistic, and this is it's sort of like a ceremonial king outfit, really. Honestly, it's, again, I'm not the best describer of things, which is why I do not DM in D&D games. But yeah, so you'll also be able to buy a boar pet that has a crown and golden tusks. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a prince boar pet with a crown.
Oh yeah, it's the princess pig that you save in the Stonefalls one with the apples.
No, this is the boy version. So you can actually get, or I know last year you could get princess.
Oh, I didn't realize that it was actually a different version. I just thought it was the same pig. Oh, I didn't realize that.
I
this
didn't
one
even
has
realize it
tusks
was
and
part of the
stuff.
tasks.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I don't
okay,
do my
well,
dailies, as you guys know.
okay. Oh, yeah, it is. I didn't notice that. Oh, interesting.
I love Princess.
Yeah, she has her own house. I actually, in my game, there was a housing contest in one of my guilds, and we needed to basically just do something that people didn't expect, I believe was what the like goal was. So yeah, mine was just like I made a giant throne room for the pig, and then she's just sitting on the imperial throne. And he's like, "What the hell?"
I
It's like,
love it.
I didn't see that coming.
Perfect. So obviously there will be 100% experience boost with the Memento Pie of Misrule. And this time around, that is very, very important. So if you have Master Writs, if you have anything that will give you a lot of experience, hold on to them until March 25, so you can do them with the experience boosts of this event, and hopefully get that champion point that we all now need desperately. There will also be, as usual, a whole bunch of achievements that I think Lotus already has.
Yes, I have all of these.
So okay, so to give an idea at how different types of achievements Lotus has in this game, throw 10 pies at players that are in a different alliance, which is achievable if you don't die first in Cyrodiil. Throw a pie at each of the alliance leaders, doable. Throw 10 pies at guards. Complete the above achievements is also an achievement. And then there's this. Kill 10 players while they are covered in pie in Cyrodiil, which gives you the title Empirer. See, not only you have to be able to kill people in Cyrodiil, you have to throw a pie in their face before you kill them, and you have to kill them before the pie effect disappears. So, not a very easy achievement to grab, but it is doable, apparently, because Lotus has.
Yes, it is. It's a pain in the ass because you have a very slim window before the pie wears off. So I got it originally, which was a huge hassle. And then you'll be pleased to know that the title that Guaranir actually always has on is the Empirer, because shout out to Hazardous Misfit. Yeah, we decided, well, let's just go into Cyrodiil and now just pie each other and duel. And so I got it again on Guaranir by dueling with Hazard, but we just pied each other before every duel until I eventually won 10.
All right. See, I was gonna ask if you have any tips to get that achievement.
Yes, if you really want to make friends with one person in the other alliance or use an alt, find a place on the battlefield, and I mean you can boost it or whatever, but I don't suggest goof around with just PvP. I mean, if it's you and your friend, it doesn't need to be super sweaty competitive. At the start of a fight, just pie each other and go to town and see who gets their Emperor first. So
there you go, folks. There's how to get achievement. And for this event, you will get 3 event tickets per day, so that's 15 total. Remember, if you are already at 12 ticket cap, or if you are at like 11 or something, spend your tickets before you turn in that first quest, so they don't go to waste. And again, with your tickets, you'll be able to buy the usual group repair kits, the old items and things like that, as well as Regalia, outfit style pages, Sovereign Soul, collectible fragments, and the new Deadland skin fragments and the pet fragments and the things like that, which is I'm still quite happy about because it got us rid of the Indrix, which then returned in the new dungeons, but we'll get there.
Yep.
So yeah, that's about the news we have for this week. Unless you guys have something to add that I forgot.
Not really to add, but I couldn't find a picture of the regalia for everybody. So what I did was she's an ESO stream team member, Tianlin. She has a video on YouTube. It is the #1 Google search result. If you type it in, it'll say Jesters Festival. I put the link in chat. If you want to see what it looks like, just type in ESO Imperial Regalia, and her vid is right there. You just click on it, boom, there you go. You know what it looks like.
All right, well, I'll have to do that after the stream as well for the to see, but because I've only seen the weapons, I just assumed the rest of the outfit is really cool as well. So I hope so. Right. Well, that brings us before our tales, because Lotus also got a chance to play around with the new system and the new dungeons and everything like that. We can finally do sort of a deep dive into Update 29 and think about or talk about. Yeah, we are gonna think about them in silence, and
we're just gonna stare at the camera.
Yeah. Just,
you can think what we're thinking.
This part of the show
telepathically
is for...
like send this to you.
Yeah, this part of the show is for the mind readers out there. The rest of you will have to wait for the next version. But yeah, we can talk about the stuff in more detail. So, new champion point system, only 3 trees with slottable perks and 3,600 champion points. Some people are still at 800, some people are already over 3,000. And the meta, I guess, still doesn't really exist as far as I saw. There is no like one build or, one build to rule them all type of thing. Which is, in my opinion, great. I hate when there's meta builds. So
yeah, there's some good directions to head in, but there's definitely, it seems like, much to our hope, the flexibility is definitely there for this, especially with the ability to slot and unslot things on the fly that are active. I've found myself eager to get more active ones so that I can use them for certain dungeons, but then for certain trials, I'll shift those out and put in other ones, which is really cool because instead of needing to respec all the time, and granted it's only $3,000, but like that's just annoying, and you're getting these jump points. This is just a quick, easy, okay, what are we up against? How can I adjust? This is what I want. These are things that are good to have. I have a direction. Like leveling up matters again. I love it after messing with it. Although the thing I've been trying to articulate to people, I don't feel weaker. I just feel different, which is like, without getting into like tales just yet, like in Cloud Rest, I didn't feel worse. I just needed to do it a little differently. And some things were easier, some things were harder. So it was like, all it was just like, it's not necessarily harder, just different. But since I'll be less practiced, it will seem harder. In the long run, I think it will be just better all around. So.
Right. And so we'll get to that in detail, but what happened to your sustain once you figured out your problems with the new champion point system?
Yeah, so I went from being like, oh my god, I'm so bad at this game now, this is unfortunate, I can't sustain at all, to wow, I can sustain forever, and I can borderline play one-handed in some situations because I never run out of block or magicka.
Wow. Okay. I'm not there yet. Because I still haven't maxed out my stamina and magicka perks from the blue skill line. I don't have enough champion points yet for it. But that's
I'm already feeling very, very so. My sustain has shot way up. I've been just dealing with a little bit of my durability, just readjusting things. To make sure that I don't take too much damage from some moves, but then at the same time, I can't have my health in the stratosphere the way it was, because when my health was out of control, which normally you'd think on a tank, that's great. In that Cloud Rest, that's not good because you can't ever recover from Baneful Barb.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Mark. So I had to kind of do a lot of readjusting to try to fix that. Whereas I still kind of want my health 37 to 40k ish range, and when I'm in Cloud Rest, really below 40k would be ideal. Which is again fine because I've just been getting used to where to adjust things. What do I want better or worse in different categories? But yeah, when I first logged in, I had I think 54,000 hit points. I was like, oh dear God, I'll never get healed. Like.
Now,
yeah,
I actually talked with Zynode earlier. He raided into the stream, and he told me that he was trying to prove a point with the new CP system. He went in with no CP at all slotted and did flawless VMA with no problem.
That's definitely one way to prove the point. Yeah.
That's again, we'll get so I threw in tanking stuff. This, this I guess would be a tail, but whatever. It matches this point very well. I had mentioned that they were nerfing my VMA BS build with the werewolf thing, but I was curious how much they did. So I actually ran VMA yesterday, and I actually only died once. And it was because Boots came in and I was scratching her, and I literally stood in the Vault of Umbrage poison pile, and I was like, who's a good girl? And then I heard the death sound, and I was like, oh, right, I'm still playing a game. In hindsight, really stupid because I didn't expect to have like another flawless, but I was only one death away from a flawless, and I didn't spec myself for damage whatsoever. That's just straight up in my tank build, but just in that werewolf setup. Not CP for it or anything like that. So granted, I'm not quite as ridiculous durable as I was before, but it's still really, really strong. So like, it feels much more like these are great benefits than requirements, which is kind of what it seems like Zynode also proved by going through and just like melting through it. It's like, that's kind of to support that argument. It does seem like these feel like helpers, not crutches anymore.
Right.
Also, just to point out, I would definitely botch a whole bunch of flawless VMA runs to pet Boots. Just to put it out there.
Yep.
That's the best reason to botch a flawless run of VMA. Is to pet
well, she was
Boots.
very excited to come in and say hello. So
I can actually look. I can actually see the little head right there. For all of our video and live listeners, I'm gonna attempt to do something for you all. While, there you go. I'm just gonna zoom Lotus's camera all the way up, just so you can see Boots there. There it is.
So for anybody on the live
so
feed,
cute.
Boots is sleeping behind me on the couch.
This will make no sense for audio listeners, of course.
I was going to say, apologies in advance for anybody just listening, but picture a pudgy little corgi asleep on a couch. There you go. That's Boots.
See, things
and
like
you can
this
follow
is
Lotus
why...
on Twitter to see pictures of her.
Yes, exactly. What about your sustain and your heals and everything, Pixie? Because you've been running dungeons in the new system
now, granted,
for a while now.
I just slotted some stuff that just seemed good. I haven't looked at any guides or anything. So as far as my heal strength, it seems really, really good. I feel more durable because I have a lot more health. Like I ended up, this is kind of getting into tails, kind of tanking on my healer a little bit in VSCP on the first boss. And I was able to stay alive a lot longer than I would have in the past. I am having a little bit more of a sustain issue, but I think that's just me badly slotting things rather than an issue with the system itself, just because I haven't taken the time, because I haven't had the time to really look into it and figure out exactly what I needed to slot to fix that. So it's likely I just chose the wrong CP and it's going to get better for mag recovery for me. I absolutely love it, to be honest. Really, even the sustain issues that I'm having, like I just have to heavy attack an extra time every now and then. It's not that bad. I just have to remember to heavy attack.
So out of all three of us, we are all quite happy with our builds at the moment, at least for the way we've been playing. So nothing has much changed. And to give context, Lotus, what CP are you?
I am, as of earlier, 1419, I believe. Is
All
where I'm
right.
at
What
now.
about you, Pixie?
881.
881, and I'm like I'm 1070 or something like that. So we are not even at the 1800 mark that people were talking about initially when the system came out for the the optimal level. So it's really, the new system is really not harsh at all. Well, I guess it might be if you're doing I don't know, Malflorkash hard mode or something. I've never been in that level of trials. I'm a dungeon tank. But for the dungeons, for the hard modes that I do, so far everything's been at like 1000 CP. I've been really comfortable. And I still have a lot of room to grow with more CP that I acquire. So that means I'll just get even better from here on. I'm really happy with that. There is one thing that that someone brought up in chat as I was streaming last night. Not last night. Last night? The other day? I don't know. Someday. So the green CP tree. A lot of us really, really love the crafting tree. It has absolutely amazing perks, like getting more gold materials from extracting or refining materials, or chance to get a double furnishing recipe, getting better items, consuming less potions, thievery, crime-related buffs, fall damage reduction. There are all these absolutely fantastic quality of life perks. Fish perks, as Joe in chat is mentioning. There are great quality of life perks in the green CP tree. And I was loving it, and I'm still loving it. It's just that when it was brought to my attention, I did realize it has an unnecessary side of micromanagement, because it doesn't actively change your playstyle. Yes. Having only 4, so some of the perks that you need to slot doesn't make any sense at all, because they are not conflicting perks anyway. Like the perk that gives you more gold materials and whatnot when you're refining or extracting, that's a slottable item, which requires you to remember you have to slot it. Like, say you're out and about doing, I don't know, crime. All your perks, all your active perks are crime related, right? And you go back to your crafting station, you are going to do your writs, you are going to refine. And if you forget to change your active perk, you might just go through several thousand, for example, raw materials without having that perk active. And it doesn't change anything. It's just requires you to go into that menu, change something, click a couple buttons, and change it back. So the green tree does have sort of this micromanagement problem that that I realized as well once I paid attention to it. And I spent 3 hours leveling crafting because I spent 30 minutes in Inkling's stream, and now I'm doing my writs apparently. So good. Thanks, Inklings. It's he got under my skin. It took him 30 minutes. I was like, he was doing a very early morning stream, and it was noon for me, so I was like hanging out on a stream, and it took him 30 minutes. It's So, but yeah, anyway, that's
So
sorry, Jimmy shared the Inklings emote. That's just I can't not laugh at that. It's
so another thing that was actually brought to my attention along the lines, and it's ironically the green tree as well. A lot of people in the community probably know him, so I just want to shout him out because I actually feel it's kind of like a valid criticism for, I mean, yes, it's something to work toward. So that's kind of the point of the higher CP. It's something to work toward. But to their credit, so Balgosa or Captain Krabs from the community and everything like that. So I wanted to shout out something they brought up, which I hadn't realized because I'm not lower CP. But one of the things he mentioned was it's not that he doesn't like the green CP tree. It's that you need to spend a lot of points in things you don't want to reach things you do want, which when you have CP falling out of your, pockets, it's not a big thing. But the one he specifically had mentioned, he was like, well, what if I want to do fishing? That requires several hundred CP he's like,
That is true.
how is that?
Yeah.
How is that something I need to work toward? He's like, I just want to fish. And I'm like, that's kind of valid that, like, okay, why do you need to unlock all these other crafting things to get to the fishing one? Because it doesn't really, like, to your point, it's not like a straight line of like, well, this gives you a basis so that this improves it, like in defense or offense. It's just like they just chose, oh, fishing goes here, but you now have to get through the constellations to get there. So that's great if it's something you don't mind working toward or whatever, but it's kind of an arbitrary barrier for those with lower CP, which I don't necessarily feel that it's like a good thing to work for when it shouldn't necessarily be blocked off for kind of no reason is all. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was something I hadn't considered until he mentioned it. So I was like, oh, that I see what you're saying. So, nod to that because I think it's worth noting.
Yeah, I feel like, most of the things in the green tree are the fun side activity aspects of Elder Scrolls Online, like going around stealing things, doing crime, doing Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guild stuff, or fishing, or crafting, running around harvesting nodes. They are the side activities of Elder Scrolls Online that a lot of players who don't care about getting to the end game, like going to 2000 CP, going into PvP, doing hard mode dungeons and trials, and a lot of folks that don't care about that really, really love those activities. Not that, people who do hard mode stuff don't do those, but it's just they already have the CP, so I'm excluding them. But it's like it's creating this barrier before, and is adding an extra micromanagement aspect to these side casual activities. And I think that goes like in the opposite direction of what those activities are. Like when you're fishing, you shouldn't be worrying about, oh, did I have my CP? Or like I have friends who played who did only fishing in ESO. Like that's the only thing they did. They just ran around and fished, and gave me a whole lot of perfect rows. So I'm happy about that because they didn't play the game. But like adding suddenly several hundred, and that's just, I'm just trying to remember the numbers off the top of my head. And I think by the time you can go up and then right back down to the fishing abilities, you do, even if you give the minimum amount of CP, I think you are at around 150 CP, which requires you to get 400, like CP 450 by the time you can even get to
and then you still
fishing.
Need to fill up the actual skill node as well. So it's like, again, it's not the worst thing, but it's definitely a strange, like, oh, here's an end game to the casual activities. So a little like, well, that's weird. Like that.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that will, block you off. But
certainly not.
Why make it difficult when it relates to activities that are not meant to be difficult? It's
sure.
Just,
so was worth at least bringing up because I feel it was a good point made.
Yeah, unless it's for performance-related issues, because of one of the reasons they did that active slot thing when they originally had the reveal event, they mentioned that it was performance-related as well, so that in the previous system, every activity that you did basically checked all of your champion points, apparently. Whether, is this you drink a potion and the system checks, is this a damage shield that I have to add my points to? And it's like, so one of the reasons they mentioned that this new system might help is that it reduces the amount of checks that it does, based on that. So like, but it's that's the only reason I can think of but it's a far stretch. It's a very far stretched idea.
Yeah.
So, Zaz, if you're listening, maybe reconsidering the green tree and how it works might be in the benefit of the overall community and player base of Elder Scrolls Online.
Or even if they had to just keeping the concept of fine, they do need to keep some of them slottable. They don't need to have so many jump points in the green tree.
True.
Yeah, because some of the constellations, like in the different trees, you can jump around and grab whatever you want. It doesn't need to be connected. They might want to loosen up where it's just like, okay, well, I have 50 points, but I can just spend all 50 points right in fishing if that's what I want to do, as opposed to, let me learn how to refine materials better, run faster, and also get cheaper way shrines. There we go. Now I can fish faster. It's like, well, that's a weird journey to go on. That's all.
I'm personally fine with the slottables. That didn't bother me. The issue was what Lotus brought up for me, because I was trying to get the extra furnishing plans, and that's like pretty far along the tree.
That one's up there
for someone who doesn't have a lot of CP. So it was a struggle to get. There were a couple that I really, really wanted. I wanted the faster mounts, the extra furnishing plans, and a couple of others. And I only really cared about the crafting ones on my crafter. And I didn't necessarily need them on all of my tunes because they're not even like leveled in crafting. So yeah, that was my biggest issue with it. But overall, I do really like it. And the slottables didn't personally bother me, but I could see how, like, if you forget to change it and it's just like a relaxing activity that you just do, how it could be a little bit frustrating. But it's not a problem for me. But yeah, the jump points were a little rough because of the specific one that I wanted that I had to get creative to get there.
I mean, for example, the furnishing plan slottable, right? Just an example, just now popped into my head is, so obviously in a dungeon, I want the extra food timer one, I want the consumable one, I want the fall damage one, potentially, more so in PvP Cyrodiil, so I can jump off the walls, but in PvE it would also be nice. Like, I want the better treasure chests, which doesn't really leave me with anything leave me a slot for double furnishing plans.
Right.
So if I went to the Moonhunter Keep right now, what I would do is, between every time I saw a chest, I would open up my champion points, slot the
okay, I get what you're saying.
Slot the chest one, close it down, and then every time I come across a whole bunch of wardrobes and cabinets and dressers, I would pop in the furnishing plan one. And then when I'm back to town, pop in the crafting ones. It doesn't really affect anything that you do other than just making you remember that you have to change stuff around. That's my only thing about it. There is no reason, in my opinion, for that micromanagement.
It's that extra step. It was actually, this is same parent company, but different game. With Fallout 76, the card system, they actually have recently just been addressing that, because your perks related to cards in that game, and you could just flip cards on the fly. Like, oh, I have this skill on this card. But the problem was, you would do a whole bunch of crafting things. Okay, go into your inventory, equip all those things. Okay, good. Okay, that's done. Now I take all those out. Now I put all the combat ones in. And it's just like, the more you do it, it starts becoming very, very tedious if you need to constantly flip them on the fly. So it's not necessarily a unique thing, as I dealt with it in Fallout 76. And they've recently been working on setting up, which I assume you guys will just get an add-on for it on PC, but they have put in a thing where you can basically set up classes for yourself. And it's like, instead of like you build out the card deck you want for perks, you save that one, then you build another one, and you can just flip between this build, this build, this build, this build. I assume you guys will just get a CP one, kind of like you have.
Yeah, we already got a
like
CP
that.
one. It's called Dynamic CP. It allows you to save up presets and give them names.
Perfect. There you go. Done and done.
Sorry, Lotus.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll just
play with us on PC.
I'll just get a single plan every time and pout about it. It's not a big deal.
Well, yeah, it's just it was just something that was brought up, and I thought it made a lot of sense. And the point you brought
Yep.
up also, Lotus, makes a lot of sense. So
Yep.
just
was very
loosening up
constructive.
loosening up the green tree a bit in general could go a long way in making this new CP system a lot more beneficial and enjoyable for all the casual activities that it supports as well. So
Yep.
there you go. I might actually cut this section out, make it its own YouTube video as well, just so we have
just
like a feedback
specific
video out of the however long this episode is gonna be. Yeah. So that brings us to the Tales of Tamriel. And hold on, let me see who we start with. You know what, Lotus? You don't have Battlespire.
I don't have
this week.
Battlespire.
So
Yep.
why don't you go ahead and start this time?
Okay. So, as everybody knows, I got my hands on the Flames of Ambition, which was great. I've been messing around with the new CP, as we've kind of alluded to earlier. And on Tuesday, not my achievements team, but my buddy Neonato, Hazardous Misfit, and Delta 912, we decided let's do these on launch day. And we had heard from you and others that you went in and beat them on that hard mode. And I was like, oh, wow, the gauntlet has been thrown down here. So you cleared them right out the gate. And we decided to see how far we could get. We started with the Cauldron. We blew through most of it. I like the Cauldron, but I don't mean this to sound mean or anything. The first half of the Cauldron is actually very forgettable to me. I actually can't.
Except one boss.
The fart boss.
Yeah, there was the fart boss.
That is the most insulted I've ever been as a tank.
They weren't bad by any means, but it was just like, I don't know. We went through it very quickly, and I was kind of like, okay, whatever. And then we got to it's not even so much a boss, but you have this, without going overly into detail, you've got this like liquid you need to light on fire, which I was like, oh, this is kind of neat. It's like a rendition almost of like another City of Ash 2 thing, but just more creative. But then we went into the hard mode against the final boss, and I got curb stomped by him. Just obliterated. I was running out of resources left and right. I died quite a few times throughout the dungeon too. Like the DPS were having a field day. Oh, we did not use a healer, by the way, for this. When I say the DPS, I mean everybody, because if it wasn't me, we didn't have a healer. It wasn't necessarily to be like, hey, we're going to do this without a healer. Our healer just wasn't around. Neither of them, actually. So it was just kind of like we're still going to do this. And some people were polite enough to be like, oh, don't worry. It's just because you don't have a healer. It's a little rough in here. And I had no resources. I was hot trash. I did not look up CP in advance or the dungeons. We did them without looking anything up. So we were clueless to them as well. And I was dying quite a bit, which was a little awkward because I don't usually die that much unless we're all dying. I mean, I died plenty, but like I was dying an uncomfortable amount that I felt. And I was like, wow, this new CP is not my friend, I guess. I did also, which will cut arc deep, I am not a Nord anymore. I actually switched to an Imperial. So that is different.
You've betrayed me.
Yep. So I thought their new stuff sounded really cool. So I wanted to try out an Imperial.
See, I didn't even check any of the new like racial passive changes or anything like that, because it does not matter. The right way to play the game is being an Nord. The passives don't matter.
Hi, Elf. Hi.
Yeah.
Elf.
So
no.
So now I'm, the Imperials, as I always say, the Imperials are correct, and the Ebonheart pack should work with them. It's great. But I was getting messed up, like real bad. And I was definitely like, dude, I am hard the weak link right now. Like, this is rough. So we're messing around with hard mode and we're steadily making some progress. And we start learning a little more. And for quite a while, which I really appreciate, Jimmy Shabadoo in chat, as well as several others, Luna, everybody who's watching, I could tell they were like, they gave us just enough to work with by basically saying, you guys keep improving, you're missing something. And that's all they told us, which is great. Like, that's the perfect way. If you're going to backseat when somebody is, trying to do something blind, that's the way to do it. You just the tiniest little thing so that we know it's like, okay, we're not totally just wrong. We're just missing something. And we definitely were. What we were missing was if we destroy the rocks fast enough, all the ads spawn and are on our side, which really makes that a lot easier. But I was struggling with sustain. So I ended up going with the shield ultimate so that I was just like, oh, going selfish, everybody. So I was in powerful assault and Yolakrin for everybody else, which again, I was told that's probably not great if I'm having sustain issues, but damage is fun, especially when you have 3 damage dealers.
Yeah, I was going to say, you already had 3 DPS and powerful assault and Yolakrin and complained that you were dying. And I was like, come on, that's...
Yeah, I know.
If you weren't dying, I would have been pissed.
So, yeah, I was going all offensive for them and then defensive for the skills. But we spent a little while. I started to get the flow to the fight go, and I was like, all right, my resources rough, but we got this. And they started trying to pace it so that they would drop orbs in the direction of where I was running so that I would run into them, which was super handy. And we cleared the hard mode. So we were all excited. We're like, all right, cool. We beat hard mode, the Cauldron, without looking it up. And we did it with 3 DPSs. Let's go into the next dungeon and see how far we can get. Because that's the one with 3 of the hard modes plus the secrets. Yeah. So we didn't want to look any of that up. We figured, let's try this out. As I've been messaged countless times at this point, I don't have the clip handy, but I couldn't remember the name of Black Drake Villa. And several people have said that they now need to rename a dungeon Soothing Summer Village because that was what I called it.
What? That's not even close.
I don't know why, but it always looked very relaxing in any of the screenshots. So I defaulted to Soothing Summer Village. That is not actually the name of the dungeon. It's Black Drake Villa.
Do you really think Finn would have named a dungeon Soothing Summer Village?
I mean, we had Stone Garden. That sounds relaxing too. So
except
I just
for the stone part.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you could have like standing stones that could just be relaxing. I don't know. I thought it seemed fine.
Soothing Summer Village. It's not even like
it has a.
I mean, if you called it Black Summer Village or I don't know. Like something close at least.
No, not even remotely. But I've gotten several messages from people after the stream that was like, that's quite a name for a dungeon. I was like, so yeah. If you ever hear me refer to Soothing Summer Village, that's my interpretation of Black Drake Villa. However, we went in and managed to took us a little bit to figure out the first secret. And then once we kind of got on the right track, we found all of the secrets and started jumping into the hard modes. And we managed to clear all 3 hard modes. That dungeon is awesome. I cannot recommend Black Drake Villa enough. I want to have some time settle in and run it and try to get my challengers, trifectas, all that stuff in there first before I go too complimentary, I guess. But I can easily see that being one of my favorite dungeons in the game.
It is a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the feels of the Unhallowed Grave, which I love that dungeon. So it's got a lot of the secret styles and stuff like that. End boss fight, very, very cool. Secret ultra mega boss fight, also very cool and much more difficult, especially in hard mode. And a surprise when you think you've beaten the dungeon and you get a an extra surprise at the end. But yeah, so we went through and just like you guys beat all 3 of the hard modes. We did it without a healer, and I personally didn't realize it, although I found out about it afterwards. We actually didn't wipe in the entire dungeon.
Oh, wow.
Without a healer.
But
and
I gotta say,
putz.
even in Cauldron, the recovery rate of you guys were insane. Like, there were times that I was sure, like, okay, it's a vibe, and there's just one DPS and Lotus is alive, and one of the DPS, I don't know who is it, but just like stands in the fire and everything and reses someone. I'm like, even I can't do that. How can you do that? What is it?
Yeah, so one of the things, like I said, this is actually like one of the groups I do a lot of achievements with. It's kind of like a hodgepodge of players from there, but this isn't like the trifecta team that I've been running with. However, this is like the other group of people that we do a lot of achievement stuff with.
Mhm.
And one of the things we always say is we might not have the best burn, but we have the ability to fuck up and recover a lot. So
That's definitely what I saw, yes.
yeah, so the thing that's beneficial about that is when we're doing weird achievements, if we die all the time while trying to specifically do something, we kind of learned, okay, we need to be able to figure out how to stay up to do specific challenges. And I guess that kind of translates pretty well to not screwing up when you're in dungeons. Because yeah, like I say, we came very close. We actually almost wiped at the very end. It was one of the more dramatic saves was Delta managed to grab me at the very end. I got up, and then he managed to grab Neo while I pulled aggro back during the final fight. That was the one that we thought we were gonna end up wiping, and while we were panicking and freaking out, when the boss was on the upper ring in the fire and you're supposed to be downstairs fighting the lizards and stuff like that, I appreciated the dedication of Neo just saying, screw it, rush him. And we all went up into the fire and killed him anyways while he was up there.
One thing, by the way, you don't actually have to be down there to fight the thingies. Because
Yes,
if you
can
jump
poke at 'em,
on the
right?
boss, yeah, so the entire top arena is a ring of fire, except
Yes,
a
but- ring
around the boss. So you can actually
around
rush
the
the boss
boss.
and just, keep fighting
And we
him.
ended up finding that out when we were like, rush him. And we were like, hey, we lived and we won. So that was pretty neat. But yeah, I was very, very proud of us. We managed to at least keep pace with both of you. And, like I said, we unintentionally handicapped ourselves in a couple ways that weren't really to be like, hey, look what we can do, so much as like, oh God, what are we doing? But yeah, I was very pleased that we didn't have a wipe at all through all 3 hard modes while not knowing what they were. So that was, shout out to the team on that one. That was awesome. And then the embarrassing thing after all of that success that I need to bring up. And
Before
it
you
turns out,
bring it up,
okay,
I want to
yep.
mention, all this time Lotus was streaming all this. We were in chat trying to figure out his sustain issues, giving ideas. Everyone is trying to help. People are theorizing, coming out. Maybe if you use this skill, maybe if you did this, that would help your sustain and things like that. So throughout this entire journey, there were a whole lot of people in chat trying to help Lotus and his sustain issues.
All of you. And all of your ideas actually seemed very good because, we managed to get through. However, the problem wasn't any of that. It's that I'm an idiot. When I changed my race from Nord to Imperial, it took out my racial passives. and I never thought to put them back in.
That's what you get.
So we did both dungeons blind without a healer, and I also didn't have my racial passives, which was the reason I changed to an Imperial.
That's what you get for leaving the Nord.
So I was missing, what was I missing? I was missing 2,000 stamina, 2,000 health, and 6% reduction to all of the skills that I cast. So who would have thought everything would be super expensive and I had not as much stamina? So,
you know what this means, though? This means you actually don't need the racial passes from Imperials in the first place, so you can race change back to a Nord.
Back to a Nord. But on that note, that's true. I did have the flavor passive. I did get 1% gold the whole time because you don't have to.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yep. I'm sorry. Yeah,
so I did have that. I mean, I don't have to spend a point on that. That's just the flavor one. So
I saw your inventory while you are streaming. You are poor. You need that 1%. Gold.
I do. I need that money.
You filthy, rich, selfish, who are loving it. Rocking a 10 million gold.
How much gold did he have?
He has 10 million gold.
Yeah, I have 10 million.
What?
So much, so many materials and everything like that.
Arkaniir has rich. $1 million on him too.
he is rich both in gold and material.
So that was you guys got it first and cleared it first and everything. The only thing that I can even remotely try to flex was, hey, I did it as wrong as possible and my team got through it. So we got that going for us.
Look, this is exactly why we don't compete with you. Like you are completely out of this competition because
you win.
Holy hell.
There.
I mean, we are competing like, oh, it took me, 5 hours, but it took me 4 hours. Then there's Lotus. Yeah, I didn't know the speedrun hard mode without passives and no healer in 10 minutes. It's like, how are you going to compete with that?
You don't.
No, that was, really love the dungeons though, despite my rampant idiocy on not remembering to put any of that stuff back. But, I'm big fan of everything I've played so far. And once I remembered to put in my racial passives, it's been great. My sustain is no longer a problem at all. So I was big fan of it now that I actually know what the hell I'm doing. And the only other thing that is worth mentioning, because that was the bulk of it, we ran some random dungeons and simple stuff like that, but it's just to get in CP and transmutes because I've been kind of changing some stuff around. The biggest thing, which I was really, I'll end on, unfortunately, somewhat of a down note for console. It's not terrible by any means, but you have all been talking about how, like, oh man, things just feel better in this new update. Things don't just feel better on console, at least on the PS4.
What's happening?
So there's a few issues. Sometimes activating synergies is very difficult. It just straight up won't work. Now it's not constant, so it's not like these things are undoable. Not like that. But we were in Cloud Rest to kind of get our feet wet again because we picking back up with our team, and we were like, well, let's see how things go. And it didn't feel bad, even though our damage was a little less. Took some adjusting, but like it just felt different. The problem was execute was a miserable pile of crap because we couldn't get the Blood Altar synergies to synergize, which means you just die because you're just dead to Baneful Mark is the problem. So our approach for the tanks, because we couldn't heal out of Baneful, was to keep one of us so far back we wouldn't get Baneful.
Yeah.
The first tank would die, the other tank would run in, you'd res the other tank, I would get Baneful at that point, then I'd die, and the other tank would have to pull, and we were kind of needing to trade because we just simply couldn't purge off the Baneful. So that was pretty problematic. I mean, we made do as best we could, but otherwise it felt good. Different, but good. But the synergy thing is rough. And I had mentioned my run through VMA. The run itself is whatever. I was just doing that for kind of like to test out my build still. But one thing is I put on different gear for running VMA. The problem with that is I didn't have it earlier tonight, so it's not even a constant thing. But on console, when you activate items, like any items, sometimes you will get basically locked up to the point where it actually looks like your game might have frozen, but it hasn't. So if you want to eat food, your game just stops.
What?
And it's not like a quick hiccup. It stops for like 20 seconds.
Oh, no.
So eating in combat, you can't do it. If you have this, you're done. Like you die. That's what happens because you won't be out of the... That's problematic, but whatever. Eat your food before you go into battle. Not a big deal. My problem with my VMA run was I wear none of the same gear. So I needed to switch all of my gear over. Every piece of gear, I timed this once the first one hit because I was like, how long is this going to take? Every time I would switch any piece of gear, so I needed both my hands for my weapons, my whole body and jewelry, everyone would lock up when I would switch gear. It took me 3 minutes and 24 seconds to switch my gear.
Oh my God.
From my main build to my other build because the lockups were so long.
Problem though. That's I'm trying to think of what might be causing it. Like it's
no idea. It's very bizarre. And the other thing is because I was like, oh my God, like I'm just staying in one set of gear. We're all done until this gets fixed. Well, I had to get out of that gear, and I do that to get into our Cloud Rest run earlier. Not there. I trigger my food, totally fine. I switch my gear, totally like normal. So it's not a consistent thing. I don't know what's causing it, but
it's so strange.
It's not just me because other people. One of the people was late for the trial because it took her so long to get into her gear.
Oh my God.
So there's something weird with it. Don't know what the deal is. Hopefully they can figure it out. But yeah, other than that, the game's not running. It's just really those things. The synergy thing is a bit of an issue, and the gear thing when it's happening is a big issue.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's running totally like normal. So it wasn't like oh God, it's the Markarth patch all over again. It's just these two things are really bizarre that they're quite so aggressive. But
it is so strange though. Like
it very.
I most of the time when a bug occurs, I at least have a degree of like some degree of an idea as to how or why it might be happening. Getting locked for 20 seconds every time you equip an item,
it's
I don't know.
Like, and the fact that it's not always there is like, what is locking up? Like, I don't know. It's very strange. So, other than just kind of like taking a video clip and I'm going to send it into Zos just so they're aware of it.
Yeah.
It's whatever. It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely like what is happening with this?
Yeah.
So, but that's been my experience with the patch all around. Big fan of this. Great start to the Gates of Oblivion year so far, at least from my perspective. I'm a big fan and can't wait to tackle more with those dungeons because I want to run them more, especially now that I'm not unintentionally handicapping myself. Because that wasn't the best way of doing that.
Just go back to being a Nord. You apparently don't need the racial passes at all, so it's just do it. Just go back.
Just
Or
go
you
back.
could be a high elf even.
Everything
Kitty
is
tanks are
just-
cute.
Oh, it's so
No.
Ark. It's so everything's so cheap. It's
What do you
so
mean?
cheap. Like 6% off anything, including like my war horns.
Yeah, but
Everything.
as a Nord, you get
Ulti regen.
We do.
I
I have no clue,
yeah.
man. I am
yeah,
Nord
okay.
not because I don't check my passives. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah,
what. I
okay,
only
so
know
you
it
get
gives cold resistance. That's it.
okay, so you get cold resistance. I never cared about that. That's whatever. You get some armor as a Nord,
Okay.
and stamina and health, I believe. And the thing is, you get some ulti regen, which is sweet.
Oh. That
But
actually works really well with my build, so I'll take that.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that I really liked. But the Imperial one, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
everything
2000
is
extra
6%.
stam and health. It's and 6%
Yeah,
cost reduction. That is good. That is good.
it's real good. So it's like the reduction is just like it's insane. It doesn't cost reduction in my skills. Okay, so I block for less. I can cast spells for less. I can use stam abilities for less. My ultimate costs less. If I want to put on a ulti regen thing and my ultimate costs less, then it's basically like I'm a Nord and an Imperial at the same
Mhm.
time type of thing. It's like that's why I really wanted to mess with it. So I was just, it's very good. Very, very,
Yeah,
very
but you
much
failed
enjoying.
because that's what you get.
Well,
You're
yes, all
betraying
right.
the
And
Nord.
it's also helpful to equip any of the things that I'm referencing as good features. So
So Jimmy JJ Shabadoo in chat brings up an issue he was experiencing. A weird item thing I'm experiencing on PC at the moment. Sometimes my items list one update when I gain or lose items. Like when selling off stuff, the items will appear in my inventory but will not be interactable. Opening a daily coffer, the items don't show in the inventory. I reload UI and the inventory list updates.
weird.
The problem doesn't happen all the time though. So
Yeah,
my
and he
main
doesn't
issue
think
with
it's an
all
add-on.
the item stuff is putting something or getting something from the bank has been incredibly slow. That's my only issue. Like normally I would just be able to spam items in and out of the bank. Now every time I put an item into the bank, it like I have a second or two freeze of sorts. It's just it's like it has a cooldown for moving items in and out of the bank. That's my item problem. So I guess in general there is a problem with the items or how they are handled on the server side, because I think they are handled on the server side, and
Yeah.
it's causing variety of different problems for different people. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it does sound like it's a general item problem then. So TK says, interesting. I had delays switching gear on PC using controller tonight. Long freeze between switch.
That sounds exactly like what I was dealing with.
I am gonna try with I'm gonna try with my controller after the stream.
I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably actually plug in my controller to PC and mess around with it too. Because
if we can replicate,
that seems
if
very
we can,
coincidental.
yeah, it would be interesting if it's a controller. Controller
like a
UI related
controller
problem.
UI.
That's a very interesting point. We'll definitely mess around with this, and if you can pinpoint that will make fixing this insanely easier for the developers.
Yeah.
That's like,
here's the video, here's the fix. Like we know it's just do your magic, and then
like if you can narrow the issue down to the UI, that's like that's a blessing.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's so much better than this thing broke, fix now.
Make better, please.
Yeah, that's oh god. It's and then you can never reproduce it. So there were bugs like that. We had multiple QA people as well as the entire development team. Just for context, I was a mobile game developer. We would just be like entire day just try something to hope that it breaks so we can fix it, but if it would never break. It's those reproducible bugs are nightmare.
Yeah, we ran into one at my job. I'm a web developer, and you could so the login system would break, but only if you like took a very specific chain of actions to get to the login system.
God. Oh my lord.
The nightmare.
And like it would pop up. And we're like, so the QA would be like, hey, this broke. And we're like, all right, what'd you do? And he's like, I just tried to log in. So then we tried to log in. It was fine. We're like, can you give us more information? He's like, no, I just tried to log in. And so then I'm like, I don't understand. Like, it's like, we can't reproduce this, and it's just fine. And then our boss found the bug, and he sent us a direct link to the page he was on that he then tried, which is not like you had to go through a process to get to that page, and then he tried to log in from that page, and that was the way it broke. It's like, wow, this is oddly specific for one. So I don't know why, but it wasn't my job to fix that one, thank God. But I didn't want any part of it. But yeah, it was a nightmare. So I 100% understand how important it is for steps to reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy is also apparently a software developer, so we are having a small convention, spontaneous convention here. But it reminds me of...
This is the QA part of Tales.
Yeah. And it reminds me of the steps to produce. Some of the bugs remind me of, having back in the day, there were these legends or myths in games. Like, if you go to this corner, turn 5 times, jump 3 times, and if you crouch, I don't know, the portal opens or you get this item or whatever, those weird myths that would go around and never would actually be true, but everyone would try them anyway.
Yeah, that's how some bugs happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Stand on your head, spin around 5 times, say a prayer to Stendar backwards, and then the bug will happen.
Exactly. Perfect. All right, Pixie, what have you been up to since the last week?
So it opened up with a whole lot of pain. So the Soul Gem Society decided to attack Stone Garden hard mode. And Bard had some family stuff going on, so he couldn't make it. So we subbed in Braun. And we're like, okay, this should be fine, Like, we've done the first 2 hard modes before. The last hard mode's a nightmare, but we had a pretty good idea of what we were going to do to, like, overcome the fiery death that we experienced the last time. Oh my God. It was a freaking nightmare. There's just so much pain in that last fight. So whenever I see my tank melt, I just immediately just die a little bit inside myself. And so we made it to where I also would die outside myself whenever the tank was dying because I slotted guard. And so I was like, okay, if I stand close enough to Lego while running guard to where my Necro AoE burst will hit both of us, I can keep me and him alive. And then I can do Radiating Regen and hit the other I can hit the 2 DPS. And as long as they don't get hit by anything, we're going to be okay. That was my strategy. Apparently, Arcasis had other plans, and there's just fire everywhere. So we could consistently get to the first werewolf phase. And then I realized I have no freaking clue how to werewolf. And that was an issue. And they're like, oh, you have to interrupt the thing whenever he's doing this, and the interrupt is 3. And I'm like, oh no, I just hit 3 like a little while ago because I thought it was going to damage him.
And then you're on a cooldown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, the only ones you should be spamming are 5, which is your heal, because it's going to proc and you're going to do Frost Breath or something on him. I don't know what it did. I didn't read the tooltips, which is probably...
That's correct. You're right.
Okay.
You hit R1 until you get enough light attacks to trigger Frost Breath. I believe it's 5. And then you burp frost at people to get health back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'd like hit 1 whenever I could because it seemed like it would be useful. I think that's the taunt. But
yeah, that might be.
It's I'm trying to remember what that would be. I think it'd be square.
I was going to say
I only remember the interrupt because that's like...
I'm trying to remember the
I think it's square
placement. I think you're right. It'd be square on a PlayStation controller, I believe. Yep.
I'm proud of myself for remembering that.
Yeah, I was going to say
it's been a while.
I'm like, yeah, square.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but I still remember a little bit. Yeah, it just didn't go well. We didn't get past that first werewolf phase. It was kind of a nightmare. The werewolf phase, like, I take full blame for that. I didn't know what the hell was going on that entire time. I needed to like look up a guide or something. They explained it to me like at least 30 times while I was in there. I don't know.
To
I'm
be
just real bad
fair,
at it.
much like the skeever thing, that kind of screwed with me for a while too, because it's learning something totally different. And you pretty much need to learn a rotation on the werewolf. I mean, the actual skills are pretty simplistic, but you want to rotate with your group so that you don't overstack skills and things like that. And that
Right.
was what took us more than a few. It took us probably a dozen times
Mm.
before we figured out what we were doing in werewolf phase. And like, oh, okay, now this finally makes sense. Because it would be people would use stuff off sync, and then it's like, well, we're all on cooldown, so we're all dead. Like you can't do
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was definitely my roughest point with that place as well.
And then it wasn't helping either that because I'm running guard and you have to run guard on both bars because otherwise when you bar swap, your guard's immediately
Yeah.
broken. So that's immediately two skills that I would normally use that I just can't put on my bars.
Right.
And so that is rough. But it's like, okay, I can work around this. You know, I've got enough on my bars to handle healing through this. But it's just a nightmare. And then whenever I'm guarding the tank, trying to keep both my health and Lego's health up at the same time, I just trying to hit the DPS also without me taking too much of a break and killing both myself and Lego at the same time, which is a really bad time for everyone else involved. It's just rough. So yeah, that didn't go great. We did have fun though, or I did. I had a blast. I learned a lot about
Literally.
myself in there. Yeah, really. But
A journey of
it's-
self-discovery.
I exactly. I've learned that maybe I don't need that achievement. Maybe I can just live my life for a little while without it. Arc, you win.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't just call my win because I haven't gotten that clear either.
True.
I can't wait to hear you going in there as well, Ark. It's a lot of fun.
I've only been there on the hard mode 2 times. So the first time we went in there and I didn't pick up any of my shrooms. We were doing it blind and I didn't realize how important the shrooms were actually going to be. So I didn't pick any of my shrooms, and we got to the final boss and people were like, yeah, the shrooms was going to give you like 3,000 health. And I was like, well, I don't need it. I got this. I didn't have it. So we only tried it for like 30 minutes and quit. And the next time I was in there, we didn't have a healer. And
Ouch.
yeah, it was like 3 DPS. It was with Jen and a couple of her friends and me. So we got to the final boss, no problem. Someone was running like a resto staff back bar, so we made it all the way to the final boss. But even with Luna's healing, I was melting at that final boss when we first tried it. So after attempting it for a while, we realized I just can't survive that without a healer. There's like absolutely no way that's gonna happen. So yeah, I haven't been back in there since then. We cleared everything else.
Right.
It's just Stone Garden.
I said, yeah, I haven't tried that without a healer, nor do I want to.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
that just sounds wholly unpleasant in there.
That's one fight that I'm 100% sure I will not be able to clear without a healer. That's like everything else I would try at least. I got some of them. I failed some of them, but Stone Garden, I wouldn't attempt. Like, there's no point in that.
I mean, I'm glad the healers are necessary, but damn, there's so much fire. So much fire.
We're too necessary.
I was very warm. I will say that. I was not cold in that part of the dungeon. It was rough. Very rough. Did something much more relaxing this morning, actually. So usually I can only play ESO in the evenings, but I had a rare morning off this morning. So logged onto ESO and ran around on my main because that's the only one I actually have my skills and everything reslotted for. Helped Kiz level a lobby, and whenever I say help, I was essentially just helping him port 2 delves. He didn't really need me there. But I found out in that process, wow, I have just not done any of the delve quests in Western Skyrim. So I was doing those delve quests to try to
Great.
build some CP myself too. Yeah, they are. I guess it was always like I would go and do the dailies, and then whenever I was like focused on dailies, I'm like, I'll run this delve quest later whenever I have time to like sit here and enjoy it, and I'm not like in a rush because of whatever I was doing. And then I just never went back and did it. So it was like, okay, I completely forgot that I didn't do these. So ran around and did that for a while, and then we also did some VSCP farming. So I actually really enjoy Scale of Collar Peak. It's like the only dungeon I think that I've cleared, like not the only dungeon, but I've cleared it on all 3 rolls basically. So I feel like I have a really good understanding of the mechanics in that dungeon. Really like tanking it. It's really fun to tank. I actually really like that one a lot. But I was on my healer because again, didn't have anything slotted. And I forgot to put this in the notes, but VKA. I ended up in a VKA run as well. Yeah, so we ended up running out of time on the last boss because I'm just never going to get my boat ever. It's cursed. There's just something about it that's cursed.
Yeah, it's a very nice boat too. I want it as well, but
yeah, I have the perfect place to put it now.
All right, now
which
I apologize for my lack of fashion scrolls yet again.
Yeah.
You mentioned this before. What boat?
If you clear it on Vet and you go to the achievement furnisher, you can buy a boat.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a cool boat.
Huh. I need to look at this.
So the Stone Eagle.
I did not know that was a thing.
The Stone Eagle area, as soon as you walk in, there's like this big pool in the middle. I'm going to put my boat in the pool.
Okay.
But isn't it up the mountain?
Huh?
Isn't the entire place up the mountain? So you're going to put a boat in a mountain?
I'm going to put it inside the house.
It's an airship.
Oh, okay. So like
inside the house.
Oh, I see.
And it's just going to be my little boat party.
You know, like people parking their Lambo in the top of the penthouses or something.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to park my boat right in my entryway because I finally got my damn boat. I don't know what else I'm going to do in that room, but the boat's going there, and I'm very excited for it. So I need to get in there again. Basically, finally figured out the shock mechanic that I just pretended to understand last time I was in there because it's like, okay, he's explained it 3 times. I still don't understand, but I feel like I'm just too tired to comprehend what's going on right now. So I'm just gonna run in a line and hope for the best. So I understand it now. We got to the point where the first floor broke, but then we all died and we ran out of time. So we didn't get another pull at it really. Okay. So I did get further than I did last time. So that was good. But yeah, still failure, unfortunately. So then we were in VSCP a lot. I was trying... Oh, I remember how I remembered about VKA now. The other healer had asked me if I could run Jorvold's Guidance, and I'm like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. All I've got is Hollow Fang and Spell Power Cure because I am way too lazy to go farm these sets. And I don't have the time to do it, so this is all I've got. I'm sorry. Unless you want like a Winter's Respite or something that you don't want in this, most likely. And so they're like, okay, I'll run the off-trait Jorvolds that I have. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to farm Jorvolds because I actually have time today and I don't have anything else going on. So for a while, I ran it with Kiz and Zan and a friend from one of their guilds. This morning, got most of the pieces I needed, and then I finished out everything except the necklace tonight with Braun, Mitch, and... So we pugged a tank at first. And...
Wow.
It's quite risky to tank a pancake. Tank a pancake?
Yeah,
take a pancake. Is that what you were gonna...
It's, yeah.
I would like a pancake.
I mean, you pug too many tanks and you're all going to look like pancakes. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
So
yeah, carry on. I'm not going to speak anymore.
We get to the first boss and we immediately died. And we're like, oh no. Like, tank... like didn't do much. And we're like, oh no. So I'm like, okay, this guy might not know mechanics. And before I could like ask anything, he's like, this is my first time in here on vet. I'm like, okay. And I'm just like, I'm patient with pugs. I want this person to learn something. They'll learn these mechanics. Like, I can actually explain tank mechanics in this place. I know how it works. So I immediately typed them out this like detailed explanation that gives them what they need to know as a tank to tank that dungeon, to tank that boss. They proceeded to do none of what I asked them to. Immediately died to the heavy attack without dodge rolling. Good. So then I'm like, okay, I can do this. I have lots of health now. So the boss is running around after me. Both DPS are dead and the tank's dead. I managed to time a res on the tank correctly. Now I'm dodging the heavies because I followed my own advice. So I res the tank and I hit him with a couple heals to make sure he was good to go. I turn around and start rezzing one of the DPS, and I turn back around and the tank is dead again because he did not dodge a heavy attack. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm like, oh no. This happened, I think, twice, where like I would get him back up, he'd have another shot at it, and then just immediately die to another heavy attack. And then he, like, between wipes, I would say, like, oh, you have to dodge roll the heavies. Like, those hurt really bad. You cannot block them. And we asked, do you have codes combat alerts? Then he just said, I don't know what's hitting me. I can't do this. And left. I was like,
oh, great.
Alrighty then. So then I start, like, we queued up for another tank. And somebody from chat, Wally, was like, would you like a random from chat to come? And I was like, sure, you are more than welcome to come. Much better job. First of all, he was in voice chat, so we had comms. So if there was something he was fuzzy on because it was a while since he had been in there, like, I could do call outs. Went fine. And then Mitch had to leave. So then we're like, okay, pugging a DPS has to be better than pugging a tank. And it was. So now I have all of my Jorvolds except a necklace. So I still need to, like, I even got a resto and a lightning staff and everything. Like, I just need a necklace.
Nice.
So I have to go back in there at some point to get the necklace. But I'm very, very close to having everything. And I got a couple motifs out of there too. So that's always nice.
Nice, yeah. I mean, if you got the weapons, necklace is usually the easier piece to get compared to weapons. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Yeah, I got really lucky on the weapon drop. Well, really, other group members did. And then they just nicely gave them to me. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for me. Other than last night, Ark and I played a ghost game. So not really Tales of Tamriel, but we were both there. And that was hilarious. Also, Ark is a huge troll.
No.
We were on a very large map. Braun was with us too. And so it was me, Ark, Braun, and Maestro. And Ark and Maestro died because they didn't follow. Okay, so Ark was pretty close to us, so I don't really know why Ark died. Maestro wandered off by himself, which really ticked off this particular ghost. Maestro died. So those two were both ghosts together, which means they can throw things at us. So previously, we were communicating by throwing things in the directions we wanted the people alive to go because we were being helpful. So Braun and I are like, we need to drop off the stuff that we currently have so we can come back and pick up the stuff that they have so we don't lose all our things. And so we leave. We're on this huge map. Whenever we come back in, we immediately realize we have no idea where their bodies are because we're horrifically lost. So we're like, okay, we know you two were watching where we went. Can you please pick up a cup or something and throw it in the direction we need to walk? So that way we know where we're going because we don't know where you died. And they start throwing cups and we're like, oh my God, we got them to listen to us. This is great. They're going to follow directions. And then I notice we've passed the same gurney a couple of times. And they're leading us around in a big rectangle and absolutely not helping us at all and just trolling us. And we're like, okay, fine. You don't get your stuff back. And we eventually found our way back out of the place and left them. That's what
in our defense, we had no idea where to go either. So we just led them in a circle. And eventually Pixel was like, wait a second. Because like when you die, the people who died can communicate between each other, and people who are alive can communicate between each other, and there's no like alive to dead comms. So yeah, it was.
We can't do a seance apparently.
Yeah.
But God, it was hilarious. We also like really sucked at that game last night.
Yeah,
Lost all
we
of our
lost
money and all
everything,
of our
yeah.
possessions. So, but
It's,
yeah, that's
it's a fun game though. Phasmophobia is definitely.
Oh
I mean-
yeah. I think I just called it the Ghost Game and never even said
Yeah,
the name
you did.
of the
Yeah,
game we were
you
playing.
just called it Ghost Game.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure everybody probably knew that it was.
Yeah.
Also, for anybody who's listening now, I have gone the entire day with very, very, very little caffeine because of a coffee mishap this morning. So I'm just now drinking caffeine for like the first time today. So I'm very much not fully functioning.
I
But
would
I'm
have
doing
been-
my
you're-
best.
I would have
You're
been dying with a
surprisingly awake.
headache if I had done that. I would have been
I
like
popped some medicine for it earlier because it was really starting to hurt. but
once
now I'm
once
okay.
my headache starts, like if I don't drink my coffee within the first hour or two of waking up, and if the headache starts, it doesn't stop. Nothing can stop it after that. I don't understand.
That's the worst.
I don't understand the concept. Like if I at that point, if I drink my coffee, if I get more sleep, if I take painkillers, nothing stops it. So I'm screwed for the rest of the day at that. So yeah.
So coffee is essential.
Yes. I mean I quit smoking. I can't quit coffee. It's
You know, coffee, as long as you don't add a bunch of stuff to it, apparently is actually pretty good for you. For the
yeah,
most
this
part.
is the so I am limiting myself to this. I only drink this much a day in the morning. However much is it? It's like
Yeah.
less than half a liter, honestly.
Natural caffeine has benefits to like brain health and stuff like that. It
It
obviously
is
not-
because if I don't take it, I want to
Well, yeah,
smash
in your
my head
case,
against the wall, and that is
Right.
really not good for my brain. So
I was gonna say, in your case, it's crucial because
Yeah.
your brain will squish itself into a paste if you don't have coffee.
yeah. What else, Pixie? Have you done? Was that it?
That was it.
All right. Well, so I've been playing a lot of Elder Scrolls Online again since the update because I finally have a purpose, which is get more champion points, unlock everything, so I can easily switch around between stuff without respecking. On Monday, we actually also did the new dungeons. We went into the Cauldron, which, again, I've never been so insulted as a tank in my life in any dungeon because that Ogrim, that massive Daedric Ogrim boss, the first boss you fight, it's just a Daedric Ogrim, right? You go in there, everything is fine, it's not even hitting that hard, it's burning down so fast, and it's like, okay, tank and spank, right? The DPS in the back, you are facing the boss away from your DPS, it's all fine. He turns his butt towards you, the tank, leans forward, and literally just farts in your face.
You learned
Who
from the
taught-
scamps in Battlespire.
It's who did that? Whose idea was this?
I know the answer to this question. So I actually tagged Finn and said, "Was this your idea?" And he said, "No, this was Steven's idea. He's a relatively new dungeon guy, and I
the
feel like
first
he
thing
really
he did
captured
was
the
to-
essence of the Ogrim."
I mean, he really did. But like, is this it? Is this the? You joined ZeniMax Online Studios, right? One of the top MMORPG studios on the market right now. And the first thing you do is make a boss fart in the tank's face. I am insulted.
So
I
to be
approve.
fair,
I
it
love the
sounds like
enthusiasm
Steven-
and the humor,
Yeah.
but come on.
It sounds to me like Steve made himself a name for himself as he got shouted out the first time you encountered any of his mechanics.
Good
It is-
job,
yeah.
Steve.
Yeah. Honestly, I love the humor. It's fine. It's a good one. But come on. It's a
Yeah,
very tank specific thing too. Like it's
I know, yeah.
I am insulted. But yeah, so from that on, the dungeon went fine. It took us around 6 tries to actually take down the final boss, because we did have a healer, unlike Lotus, and I did have my racial passives assigned, unlike Lotus. And it was fine. It's a very enjoyable fight. It's not RNG. That's the one thing I've really loved about these dungeons. See, up until now, Chaos was created by RNG factors like Scale Color Peak, like Ice Reach. What else? There are more. What other dungeon has RNG? There's one more that has a lot of RNG elements that I can't remember right now off the top of my head. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. So up until now, Chaos meant mostly RNG. And that was a bit frustrating. Like Scale Color Peak, it's just... sometimes you just died because you got unlucky with the placement of everything. But Cauldron, it's super chaotic. That final fight, constant running. There's a whole bunch of dead rolls just spitting fire on you. There's the boss. You have to be careful about the heavy attack. You are running away from the lasers, dodging. But it's controllable. It's not RNG. You know what's happening. You see what's happening. Nothing just surprises you out of the nowhere once you know the fight. Or you don't like, oh, well, the thing that will save me spawned on the other end of the map, guess we'll wipe. So that part, love it. As for Black Drake Villa, such a beautiful dungeon. As you guys said, I love that dungeon. The difficulty to, enjoyable mechanics balance is, I think, really great. I feel like it could use a little bit more difficulty on the non-secret bosses. But I guess the actual difficult part of it is the final secret boss, which, because I haven't been able to clear it yet, I'm not gonna say it's easy. But it is a very pleasant dungeon. And as for our secrets, we did have Jen showing us the secrets, because I'm glad she did. I'm glad she knew where to look at, because I would have 100% missed all of those. There's no way I would have seen those wisps or paid attention to them or the plates. Yeah. So Jen was like, because she didn't want to spoil it completely for us either, but we asked her to okay, show us where the secrets are. She was like, what this blue thing might be. And we would just go running there, investigate it and try to figure out what it is. And then she would be like, what this liver might do. And so she directed us, she nudged us towards the secrets of the secrets, yeah. But yeah, so it took us, I think, either 1 or 2 tries to get the final hard mode on the Black Drake Villa as well, which again, very high active fight. You fight Raiden from Mortal Kombat. Apparently he wanted an appearance in Elder Scrolls Online. He showed up, except this is a fire Raiden. And then we got to the secret boss, and we didn't clear the secret boss for reasons. Should we?
Can we please? Yes.
Okay.
If you don't want a spoiler, plug your ears.
Yeah, this is a very interesting. This is a first ever mechanic in Elder Scrolls Online. But if you want to do everything blind, yeah, we are nearing the end of the show as well. So you might want to just drop it off here. It's up to you. So we got to the final secret boss, right? We spawned them, everything is fine. And then we wiped once because we were testing the waters. And the boss was like, boss threw a dialogue. He was like, you failed once. And we're like, okay, whatever. We tried again. And the boss was like, you failed twice now, or something. He threw a dialogue. And we're like, wait, is the boss counting our failures? And then we died again. And the boss was like, 3 failures. And we're like, wow, they made the boss insult us. That is amazing. That is the first. They added a mechanic so that the boss counts how much you die, right? And insult you. That is amazing. Also, screw you, Finn. But it was... So we were very impressed. And then we did so we wiped and we want to get our ultimates back. So we jumped on the boss, everyone got their ultimate back, and we died again. And the boss was like, 4th failure, and wow, oh, he's really insulting us. We went at it again, and we vibed, and he just disappeared. And we were like, what the hell? What kind of a bug is this? You know, I was like, oh, no, Zos, not like this. Because I thought it was a bug. That was my initial, thought. I thought it was a bug. And this was live as well, by the way. I was streaming it right here. And while we were being impressed by how the boss was counting our failures so he would insult us, Pixie in chat was like, there's a very specific reason for the boss to count. And
I tried so hard to help.
Yeah, and she didn't want to, spoil it either, the blind run. So she just said there's a very specific reason for it to count. And I thought it was like, maybe it's achievement related, maybe it's like the reward related, maybe we are gonna get a different item, maybe it will affect the reward. I thought a whole bunch of things, except the boss despawning actually and going away, and you would have to restart the dungeon. So yeah, screw you, Finn. Hashtag F you, Finn. Come on.
The best was whenever I heard Luna say, I want to die 200 times and see what he says. I was like, oh, girl.
Yeah, we were getting ready. We were getting ready to just die constantly to see how far it would count. But yeah, it's...
Oh, that would have been an even funnier way to get the boss to eat himself.
That'd be great.
Jimmy in chat mentions a great tip that I didn't realize at all. Something off screen, if you lose count, each of the failures will cause one of the orbs in the balls to disappear. I would have never paid attention to that. That's
it's funny now that he says that, and I'm thinking back to it. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Those orbs did kind of like dissolve, but I was just kind of like looking around and didn't piece together that it was like, oh yeah, that's probably counting down your tries or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, since we're just in spoiler territory, I posted the thing you clipped of me just called tank noises, but the fact that like the Indrik and junk pops up in the fight while you're doing it too, that completely caught me off guard. Like,
it's such a chaotic fight.
I did not expect that for some reason. I was just like, when I was like avoiding this stuff, I was like, all right, I've got some distance, and then the Indrik popped up. It was just like, oh my god. It's like,
I mean, I clip that as tank noises because I am very vocal when I'm tanking as well, but not by making sense. It usually gets our group to laugh, but I'm like, I keep making random noises whenever I'm like in a pinch and I just like dodge roll while struggling with something. I make a lot of noises, and then Lotus did pretty much the same noise, and I was like, okay, I guess it's a tank thing.
Yeah, it's just a tank thing when you're panicking, trying not to get punched in the face.
Yeah. At some point, I was singing. I started singing.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I was like,
he became Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it was. It was a very intense fight.
See, I panic sing whenever I'm healing, but whenever I'm tanking, I call the bosses all sorts of really horrible names. Like, I took the term taunt way too literally. They're like, taunt the boss, and I'm just calling them every name in the book the entire time I'm tanking. I don't know why I'm a completely different person whenever I'm tanking than I am whenever I'm healing. Might not still be an issue, but I know for a while in the beginning there it was.
So none of us here have completed that secret boss yet, right?
No, I was going to say, we're planning on running it again this week. I actually... The two clueless runs that I had on stream, those are the only 2 times I've run them still. That was it.
Yeah, same, pretty much same.
Yeah, so I actually haven't had a chance to run either of them again. So
I feel like other than that secret boss, the dungeons are tuned down in difficulty.
They're very manageable. I would actually say on a gauge, I would say they're similar, but a little bit easier. But yeah, I would say a little bit easier than the Wrathstone. No, not Wrathstone. That
Which
would
ones
be-
are Wrathstone's
That's not right.
Frostbolt
Harrowstorm.
and
Frost.
Sorry. Yeah, no, Harrowstorm is
which
what I
ones
meant.
are
With
Harrowstorm?
Ice Reach and Unhallowed Grave.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Similar difficulty to those, I would say.
much more enjoyable though. I enjoyed Unhallowed Grave Secrets more, but fight wise,
I love Unhallowed Grave, and I actually really like the hard mode to Ice Reach. The rest of the dungeon is fine. I just like that hard. That's another one where it's like I did really enjoy that hard mode quite a bit. But yeah, I would put them in the ballpark of that difficulty for challenge wise.
Definitely nothing like Lair of Marsalok, Moongrave Fane, Stonegarden, Castle Torn.
Yeah,
really not in that range.
Yeah,
and I think it was a good idea to make them a little bit tuned down relatively as well with the new champion point system, so that people wouldn't get like immediately smacked around in a Stonegarden level dungeon.
And the thing is, like, you jump. Sometimes it's like mechanic heavy dungeons. Sometimes, like some of these, it's like I don't know. It's a switch. Like constantly trying to outdo yourself for the sake of difficulty isn't really necessarily, I think, great. But at the same time, I like the idea of here's challenge, and for me personally, the fact that there isn't RNG that you had mentioned, that is much more controllable. So you can learn that a lot easier, which can make something easier as well. But like, I'll be curious to see, what will a third quarter, because the difficulty for dungeons isn't just progressively always harder. Sometimes the dungeons are harder, sometimes they're not as hard. These ones, personally, I thought was just like, oh, cool. These are just, I super like these dungeons, but they're not like backbreaker dungeons. Whereas, you had mentioned Lair of Marsalark and Moongrave Fane. That pack was like notoriously just ruining everybody because both of those hard modes are so rare for people who have like cleared those in the grand scheme of things, where it's like, same thing. Stonegarden is a dumpster fire of difficulty, but Castle Thorn isn't like the actual Castle Thorn dungeon isn't really that bad. That hard mode is deceivingly challenging, but it's pretty straightforward once you get the hang of it. It's, they all kind of play out a little differently. So having one that's not, a murder fest for a change, and it's just, more fun, that doesn't bother me. I'm fine with it.
Also, that turning into a frost giant, dude, I need that as a memento. I need that as something. I love being able to turn into a frosty giant knight Templar thing. That was so fun. You guys know me. Whenever I get to turn into a massive Nord, I love it. And it's like, but it only lasts so little, and you don't get it as a memento or something. Or maybe it's a reward at some point. I don't know. I didn't check. Like the Behemoth memento from March of Sacrifices. But I really need to be able to turn into that frost giant whenever I want. That is, I need it in my life.
I'm really happy with the difficulty of the dungeons. They were just really fun. So like I had a blast running both of them. I cleared them quick, like the hard modes quickly, but sometimes it's nice to not just beat your head against something for a while and just have fun doing something.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed it. Also, the Frost Giant is really cool. I agree.
Also, I mean, getting that secret boss on hard mode is gonna be pain, because you'll have to do the entire dungeon over and over again until you get it. Like, unless you can get it in 5 tries. So that'll be... There's a lot of, I feel like, Black Drake Villa runs in our future. I feel like not for Lotus, he'll probably get it on the next try, but for Pixie and myself, we might be in there. We might be doing that dungeon a few more times until we get that final secret boss, because 5 tries, man, it's rough.
I'm
for sure.
So excited to have passives next time.
And it's not a
It's going to make it significantly easier.
it's not a forgiving fight either. Like recovering in that fight is insanely difficult unless you have something like a necro or something. Recover, because there's so much going on all at the same time. Nothing lets you like stand still long enough to rest something. It's unless you are lucky and just like manage to time it right. It's a rough fight. So
yeah,
and
for sure.
had I known we only had limited tries, I would have gone with a defensive set. I had my powerful assault and arcasis, so I was again going on the buff side of things.
Yep.
So I did a couple times, and my plan was like, okay, I'll try a couple more times with this setup, and if it doesn't work, I'm gonna switch to my defensive mode. Alas, we did not have a couple more tries. We had 0 more tries. We
used our
screw
tries.
You. So yeah, it was in general though. It was really fun. I don't know. I'm happy with it. Besides, I still have Stoneguard and hard mode to throw myself at, so that should keep me satisfied in terms of stupid difficulty for quite a good amount of time. And then we have Black Rose Prison that we haven't tried as a group, as Untaunted. So if we get everything, we are just gonna go into Black Rose Prison, Veteran hard mode, and that should keep us occupied until the next dungeon DLC. I feel like.
Oh man, yeah, I'm so excited to have you test out that place.
Yeah.
I just want to hear your experiences in there, just because my initial ones were so miserable until we got it like under control. It was just like, oh, and then I've run with other people to help with their skins and stuff like that, and some of the runs have just been like, what is happening? Like,
so I've been in there actually with Ophelia and the A team, the Drunkenborns Guild, the ones in the picture behind me there. We went in there and we attempted when it first came out for like 3 hours. I think we never made it past the second arena, but at that time, like 3 of us weren't max CP. Our gear was not as good as it is right now. We were still in the early phase of our progression activities. So I feel like I'll have a lot easier time now in there because I'm very
definitely.
Yeah.
It's, to be fair, it's in my opinion, it's arena 2 and 4 that are the holdups. 2 preps you for what you're dealing with 4. And arena 4 is literally just do everything.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So.
I feel like I will be, as the Untaunted, will be fine in there because everyone's end game ready now. So yeah, what else did I do? So as I mentioned earlier, I spent an entire stream of 3 hours crafting and getting my crafting to level 50 on multiple characters, like across all crafting things. Because apparently, as you all know, I do very little writs. I'm really bad with dailies. I don't like doing dailies. I don't like doing repeatables in game. And what little writs I do, apparently I did wrong because I was doing them on not maxed out skill lines. Because I'm always low on skill points since I power leveled everything that is leveled, or they are not even leveled enough to have skill points. So apparently I was doing them wrong and not getting the maximum, rewards from them. And I realized all this after, as I said, being on Inkling's stream for like 30 minutes. So I went ahead and started leveling everything, dumped like 200k in intricate items, got a whole bunch of my skill lines to 50 across multiple characters, did the provisionings, did the alchemy. It took so long, and it was even more tiring than running hard mode dungeons. God, my brain turned into a potato. But now I have multiple, actually around, I think, 7 characters now that I can do writs on at max level. Although I do still need some skill points on some of them to get the max, everything maxed out. But yeah, and then everyone started showering me with intricate items. It was like I had to open. So I installed Postmaster, which is an add-on that basically automatically opens and deletes your mails. And because I bought hundreds of intricate items, and then everyone sent hundreds of intricate items more, and I clicked take all, and my game at some point crashed because the add-on was going through dozens and hundreds of mails. And ever since then, my game has been crashing randomly. It's... I don't know what I did, but yeah, it doesn't even give me a crash report or anything like that. It just closes. I opened so many emails so fast, they broke my game. But now I can do my writs properly. So I'm getting ready for that, for the Jesters Festival with all that, getting ready to do master writs, getting ready to do a whole bunch of writs, get some experience, get some more money. And essentially the plan is to get more rich, basically, before Blackwood hits. So whatever comes up in Blackwood, like the furnishings, because I think we'll get some Imperial furnishing and an Imperial house in Leavin. So, and I, as you all know, I hate Colovian architecture, which is Gothic, but I love Nibenese architecture, which Leavin mostly has, in contrast to Colovian. So, if we get a Nibenese architecture house and some Imperial furnishing, I'll be all over it, which is why I need more millions of gold. What else? Did I do anything else? I don't think so. I've been doing my surveys, crafting, daily dungeons and battlegrounds, but that's about it. Looking forward to jumping back and killing that final secret boss, though. That's what I'm most excited about right now.
That's your next goal, yeah.
Yeah. And then Stone Garden, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
God, just save yourself. Just don't even go in there.
No. We must get it. We have to get it. It's I cannot rest easy until I get all the hard modes in the game. And assuming, because other than the 5-try limit thing, that secret boss, it looks like we are going to get it. It's not going to be that much of a problem after several tries. Stone Garden is the only hard mode I don't have in the game in dungeons. So I need it. Hopefully it doesn't take us more than 2 evenings, though. But yeah, we'll see. I feel like it will.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
I mean, I have a build idea for it. I have a build idea specifically for Stone Garden hard mode. If it works, it'll be nice. Basically, I can regenerate so much ultimate that I might just have nearly 100% uptime on my magma shell. If I pull that off, even our cases won't be able to kill me, so we'll see how that goes. It's gonna be tricky, but
that would be amazing if you can get close to 100%. Because I feel like at that point I can clear a lot of stuff with like 0 effort. It's like, ooh, that'd be
so
lovely.
with Necromancer, when Elsewhere first came up in PTS, I think they changed something after that. But with Necromancer, I was almost able to. So I had like 5 seconds interval between 2 of my Bone Goliath ultimates, like turning into a giant Bone Goliath.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that.
I was doing that like
you were
every
almost
5
going
seconds.
from
It was
bone giant to bone
insane.
giant. Yeah.
Now I couldn't do it on the live server when I tried the last time I was in Cyrodiil with the Necromancer, but in PTS I was doing Bone Giant. It runs for 17-20 seconds, and by the time it goes out, I'm already at 200 ultimate, so it's just a little bit more before I can. And we didn't even have sets like Arcasis and whatnot back then, so if I can pull off 100% uptime on my Magma Shell, I got Stone Garden in the pocket. And I probably won't play with that. If I pull that off, I probably won't play as that build, because that's gonna be so boring. If I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's technically possible to have 100% uptime on it, but
No, I doubt that. But
yeah, if
even close would be useful.
Yeah, I might be able to reduce that time frame to like 5 to 7 seconds between my magma shells, which still will be insanely enough. Like
Right.
Luna will only heal me for 5 seconds by the time I become immortal again. That's if I don't die in that 5 seconds.
It's easy to die in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
valid.
Last time I was in there in Stone Garden, I didn't like how easily I was melting as a tank. That was a new experience. But yeah, we'll see. Well, that's about it from me. That's the end of my tales.
Oh,
Yeah.
mention your thing about UESP in our
Oh yeah. So
different interpretation.
Yeah,
because
good
I
reminder.
was very amused by this.
So last week, obviously, like update 29 hit, but it wasn't on consoles, and there was the Bethesda roundtable because the Microsoft and ZeniMax Media merger was complete. So there were things like that, and when we did a show last week, we were like, well, there isn't much news this week that we are going to talk about, so we just brushed over the merger and everything like that, and we jumped right into our tales, and then we derailed. And then the day after we recorded our episode on Saturday, I joined the USB podcast as a guest on the USB channel, and Pylon linked me their notes, and there were like 2 pages of news. Everything we also mentioned, but disregarded. I was like, okay, well, I mean, there isn't much news. Pylon was like, we got so much to talk about. How are we gonna get through this show? I was like, oh my god, we record with a day between us, but our approach to the news was exactly opposite from each other. So I really enjoyed that. I was like, everything we didn't talk about on Tales, I got to talk about on USP.
Right. And it's still funny too, because I noticed very specifically listening to both of those, we were just like, yeah, there's not that much news. And then while we were doing our tales, we kept referencing these news bits that we didn't talk about in news.
Yeah.
So we covered
Whoops.
like all these things in our tales that were technically news, because we were like, oh, there's not that much news. And then we cover everything. And then, yeah, on UESP, there's like, oh my God, there's so much news. And it's like, well, yeah, I guess all those things we kept referencing were actual news rather than like assorted tales bits and things. So that was very, very amusing to hear those back to back.
I got inspired by Pylon's notes though. So this week, I know you two can see it, but we have more proper notes this time. From now on, I'm gonna be properly writing notes. I don't know how long it's gonna last. I mean, 2 episodes later, it might just be mumbo jumbo again.
Yeah. Well, we'll do what we did last time, where I'll be typing my notes and you'll be talking to me via typing notes, and we'll just have it look like I'm completely insane on the notes. Yeah.
Our notes are very incoherent. I am still amazed by the fact that some people did really, in fact, thought that this was scripted at some. We are the most incoherent trio out there. How is this?
Yeah. Yeah. We're just on similar wavelengths, because it flows together and sounds like we know what we're doing. It's all an illusion.
Yeah.
It's all illusion magic.
If I never know what to say, I just say something about either high elves or Gwar and go after one of these 2, and it's fine.
Yeah, and then I'm immediately displeased.
Yeah.
You can't see it, but Boots is glaring at you right now. She's squinting. Actually,
She's sleeping.
She was upside down a bit ago.
Yeah, she'll do that.
You need to get like a new camera and just get a closer camera for Boots.
I know, just get a zoom in on Boots.
Yeah.
We have one for downstairs when we go out. I just need to set up a Boots cam for like when I'm actually here and streaming.
I mean, honestly, you should just use your own camera and zoom it on Boots. We don't care about you.
I was gonna say, like, what I need to do is just put a controller in front of Boots, and everybody can just think she's playing.
Yeah,
she'll be sound asleep upside down, and I'll just have her as the camera. I think that'd be way better.
That'd be adorable. Oh, April Fool's Day stream. There you go.
There you go. Boots.
Corgi tank.
Yep, corgi tanking.
I should plan something for that day as well. It's close now. We'll probably have a long stream that day, but we'll see when that happens. All right, well, that brings us to the end of the show. So, anything you guys want to add? And if not, where can people find you, Lotus?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything this episode.
Before UESB records tomorrow, and there's like 7 things that we didn't cover.
Exactly. Yeah. And if there's any news, just listen to the unofficial Elder Scrolls podcast, and they'll fill in any little bits we might have missed. But yeah, you can find me over at LotusOfDoom on Twitter and Twitch. Ideally for Sunday, so basically just a side gift for anybody who happens to be here and enjoys watching any of the three of us fail at video games. My goal is tomorrow I'll have a better date or a better time for it, but tomorrow afternoon, Sunday, I will be streaming Battlespire instead of ESO to mix things up. I'm going to take a little break from ESO and stream some Battlespire tomorrow. So by next show, I will have some Tales, which I assume will just be epic failure because I still don't know what's happening in that game, and I'm bad at it. So
suffer for our enjoyment.
I can't wait. I still love the raid where you just said "boo, wrong game" and got all of us
that
to
was
just.
My favorite. I did a run to help farm gear, and the best raid was Ark, and everybody just saying "boo, wrong game" because we weren't dying in Battlespire.
We were promised Battlespire. I even told everyone in chat, like, yeah, Lotus is playing Battlespire and everything like that. And then I looked and you were playing ESO, and I was like, oh.
I know. I chimed in to help people with gear, so now it'll be that my makeup for it will be getting pounded into dust in Battlespire tomorrow. So.
Yes. All right, what about you, Pixie?
You can find me on Twitch at HyperPixie Gaming and on Twitter at HyperPixie Games.
There you go, folks. Definitely follow these amazing people for more Elder Scrolls content on all different spectrums of the, of the genre, or rather the series, from the classic Elder Scrolls to the most latest stuff. As for me, you can find me anywhere that is Arkaniir, ARKHANIIR. You can find me live now, instead of Dungeon Crawler Network, at Arkaniir's Quest. Again, ARKHANIIR. It's a made-up name, so I have to pronounce it, or rather spell it. And lately, people are also having pronunciation issues. Now that I changed the Twitch name, people are like, Quest. I didn't pay attention to the pronunciation when I came up with it. It was too late. By the time I realized what was happening, the name was stuck. Anyway, you can still follow everything we do over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. There you can find links to all of our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, possibly some other stuff that I don't remember. Be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork. Yes, that is not rebranded, because if I rebrand that, calling everyone champions and knights and the vanguard and the torchbearers of DCN will not make any sense. So if you're going to rebrand that, I have to do some thinking first. If you want to help support the show, you can also leave us a 5-star review on iTunes so people know that we're a real podcast, that we say real words. And sometimes it matters. Thank you all so very much for joining on this episode of Tales of Tamriel, and we will see you all next week. Have a great one, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.
When Akatosh slew Lorcan, he ripped his heart right out. He hurled it across Tamriel, and the heart was heard to shout, red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. The laughing heart sprayed blood afar, a gout on Seer it fell, and like a dart shot to its mark down in an Ayleid well. Magic effused the Lorcan blood to crystal red and strong. Then wild elves cut and polished it down to Chimel at a ball. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. When elves lost Nirn to men, Akatosh gave the stone to Saint Alesh in token of her right to sit the throne. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. Red diamond, protect us till the end.